Hey everybody, I'm back at it. Got the Nova strip down and started doing a little bit of rust conversion on there. And anyway, as you can see on the inside, the floor pans are good shape. Right here, let me find a light here. The toe board's up and the floor pan's up here. You got a little bit right there. There, you got a little rust out right in here. And then, of course, on the driver's side, you got the toe board over there. So this front piece here, I'm just going to build a new piece right in here. That curve, just replace the whole thing on both sides. That's no biggie. The rest of it is in really good shape. Nothing's rusted out or anything. Just do a little rust conversion on there. Now, the dash is another point, but got a new dash. Do that. Let's do a video on putting that one in. The rest of this is good surface rust, which I've already started treating. Gonna have to do a little replacement right here in this top edge. Is about the only place. So what I'm gonna do is trim a cut right in here and replace that corner piece where the window sits in there. I'll do whatever however many pieces I need to do, just in short areas too, so it gets so that all gets replaced as needed. Now the rest of it, I got, of course, through here, I got the panels. So I got the panels to go on the sides, the rear quarters, and I got the wheel tubs to go to replace. And I'll do that as for the portions I need, because basically it's just got rust around here. There's no other rust in rockers or anything like that. Now on the rear window, I am going to have to make some pieces in here. There are a few breakthroughs on there, but I can form some pieces right through here that just replace that metal as needed. Maybe probably this whole bottom. The upper I think is okay. That might need a couple pieces, but I don't think anything broke through, so I think I can be cleaned up and converted and painted over. Now the trunk pan is pretty good, a little more than I thought. Of course I had to do where they'd put this hitch on there, and then there's some breakthrough right in here. Oops, sorry about that. You can see that right there. There's some holes came through there, so I'll replace some pieces. I'm not going to get this. I got to replace a piece right in here. But the rest of it is pretty solid. It's not too bad a shape. Well, let's see. Of course, this rear quarter and the wheel pan, get that replaced, welded in. So what I wanted to do, talk about, was doing this rust conversion stuff. As you can see, it's got a white film on here. I just sprayed this on here, maybe an hour ago. And what I use for rust, a few different things. This stuff here, this best rapid rust converter, is basically a thin liquid, you know, water consistency, and you can spray it, brush it, roll it, whatever you got to do. This rust converter ultra, which is I don't know which brand that is, maybe you can see, but it's a milky consistency. It's a little thicker. It doesn't spray on as well, but it works good on heavier rust. Either one of these is really good. And then of course the Rust-Oleum Rust Reformer, it puts a black, it basically paints it black, but it's a converter also. Those are the three main ones I use, and the process that I use for doing rust conversion is I will go through and brush anything that's heavy off of it. I'll wire brush it, either power, hand, possibly sand if needed on flat panels. And then I will spray or brush on the liquid rust converter, and it will turn. Now this is the best rust converter that I've sprayed on here, and sometimes it'll turn white like that, which is no problem. If it's heavy, you can just brush it off, and then you can see I've painted on, or I just brushed on some stuff around the edges here, and then this panel here it's been brushed on, and kind of makes a smoother surface. So what I'll do is I will spray or brush on the rust converter. I'll let that dry for a day or two, and when it's dry, then I will hit it like this area right here, for example. I'll hit with a DA with some 60 or 80 grit paper and knock it down, and then respray it with the rust converter, and then let that sit up. And so as I'm going on to different panels and stuff like that, I'm just using the process of sanding, spraying it on, letting it set. I'll move on to another panel while it dries, and then just continue through that whole process, and it'll eventually do that. So once I get the second coat on, now that particular stuff, you can let it, you can primer over it. You don't have to clean it off or anything, just primer over top of it, and then you're good to go. Sometimes I'll hit it again if I have heavier rust. I will sand it or wire brush it down again and hit it with a third coat, and if everything looks good, then I'll use an epoxy primer over top of that, because there's no way that you're going to get, without using a converter, you cannot just sand down rust on a panel. I used to do rust repairs back in the 80s. They didn't have any of this rust conversion stuff back then, and you could grind down a panel and you could put primer on it, and the rust is in the metal. It will come back. If it's rusted, if it's got holes in it, you need to cut out anything that was rusted at that time, because they didn't have this rust converter stuff back then that I know of. And I did this up in Alaska, and we had rust up there. I was in Anchorage, and the rust, I had stuff that you couldn't save because it was rusted so bad. So anyway, that's the process I use for rust conversion. This vehicle here is pretty good shape. There's a little bit on the front quarters, but nothing major. I will cut out any major stuff that's missing metal and replace it. And then I'll be back when I start doing some cutting out some panels. Alrighty, remember to like and subscribe, and take care, everybody. Just remember, don't ever run out of projects. Have a good one.